Welcome to the video response to VenomFang's intelligent design via Plasticine.
Hey guys, VenomFangX here wearing a goofy hat, and the reason I'm wearing a goofy hat is I'm having a bad hair day. Really bad. There is nothing I can do with it.
You, sir, are not only a poster boy for creationist stupidity, but you also are a poster boy for creationist minces. No one gives a damn about your hair. Only women and a few select homosexuals have that type of predilection, where their own damn hair, enough to put a hat on it. For shame.
So, if we're over the hat thing, let's get right into this. I have something to show you. Look at that.
Now we are suitably impressed with his majestic ball of plasticine. He wastes no time in asking us to analyse it. It starts, as with all good fairy stories, with let's imagine.
I want you to imagine you were walking around, and you just found this thing, just like that, and you looked around, and you couldn't find the person who made this thing. So you came to one of two conclusions, and I want you to come to one of two conclusions. You can conclude that this formed all by itself, or you can conclude that someone made it, even though you can't see the one who made it.
So to humour this request, we must first ignore 1. How plasticine is actually made, 2. How one personally would make such a thing. You know, you get blue plasticine, make it into a ball, then you get some green plasticine, and then you attach it on like into the continents, and then you find some white paint. I'm sorry, Venom. I think you misinterpreted what the South Pole is. It isn't a 200-mile diameter piece of wood sticking up from the Earth's surface for 1,000,000 miles. Although it would indicate why your Antarctica doesn't have any ice.
You see, the scientific method is things we can test, repeat, and observe. Now,
yes, the scientific method is stuff that we can test, repeat, and observe. But, VenomFang, in a hallmark and let's say trademark show of ignorance, that isn't the whole story. The scientific method, if it is not able to test on the real thing, in other words, going into the past and actually seeing the Earth being formed, science will actually test its theories on models of the thing that it can't test. Climate models are a classic example that everyone knows about. A significantly more complex model than your plasticine model is derived, mostly on the computer, and the model tested time after time after time, with innumerable variables, such as height of mountains, temperature of the sea, stuff like that. Any model that actually or accurately shows or is nearest in showing how the Earth is today, based on criteria we have given into the past, is the model that is adopted. The model itself is updated and recalculated each and every time there is an empirical study discovering some variable that wasn't taken into account with the original design. As such, Venom, science can do the same thing as the creationist and give answers to that which is unknowable. Answers which are far more likely to be in the ballpark than yours will be. Yours, whose answer is always the same. The invisible super sky daddy did it.
you did not test, repeat, or observe the creation of this little ball of plasticine.
No, but we can make models and how we think that plasticine model was made. Data and experimental results that are published can attest, and any unknown aspects can be subsequently investigated. It doesn't mean that science does not work.
In the same way, and I think you know where I'm going with this, you did not see the formation of planet Earth.
Just so you know, neither did you, or any human alive, including Adam and Eve.
So, science being defined by things we can test, repeat, and observe, no one ever saw the Earth get formed. We've never repeated the process, and we can't test the process.
You base your entire argument on the test, repeat, and observe. That mantra will not save you. It is true that we have not seen the planet forming, and neither of you, as I repeat. It doesn't mean that science lays down dead in defeat. We model. We have models of the entire solar system, our local area of the galaxy. Input again all those parameters: gravity of the sun, gravity from our gas giants, gravity from the centre of the galaxy, etc, 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 and we have a working model we can build upon of the solar system. The theory stands better than a being with hands the surface area of which is 510 million kilometres squared, creating the Earth from absolutely nothing. You have the audacity to say that the universe can't be created from nothing, e.g. the Big Bang, and then in the next breath, essentially, you say an entire planet can just whoop into being just because God was there.
So, when you read in a textbook, the Earth formed 4-point-something billion years ago from a whole bunch of asteroids colliding together, yada yada yada, that's a whole bunch of baloney.
Baloney for the people of intelligence and scientific knowledge of its namesake. For the rest, it's the pure, distilled essence of decades of theory, modelling, and observation, with pure logic put in for good measure for the rest of us.
Just looking at this thing to tell me who made it, how long it took them to make it, or anything like that.
Indeed, Venom. Just looking at it, you can't determine a number of things about it. But unfortunately for you, science is not about just looking at things. It deals with investigation, analysing its components, obtaining microbes from your grubby hands from its surface, obtaining the metabolites of drugs that are no doubt in your system, obtaining wood fragments from your pencil with your secretions on it, and both forms of evidence with more than adequate DNA on both that pencil and globe to accurately, within 1 in 1 billion and more likely, determine who made that globe and indeed when you made it. You see, science looks into things far more accurately and far more rigorously than just looking at it.
Now, what if I told you that I made this? Would you be able to prove it?
Yes, we can.
I mean, what if I had a friend make this for me? You just don't know. You're going to have to take my word for it, aren't you?
No, we don't.
Likewise, there happens to be an ultra-dimensional being called God who made the Earth that we're sitting on. Yeah, and I happen to believe him. He said he made the Earth in 6 days. I believe him. Now you say...
Just a small correction here, Venom. You believe the man who wrote the fairy tale about the beginning of the Earth. You don't believe the God, because God has not spoken to you. You read it in a book, not listened to it. God has not told you.
It was. So, when an atheist looks at the planet and says, "Now, it doesn't appear to be intelligently designed," even though it's the perfect size, the perfect shape, rotating around the sun, spinning so that it doesn't burn or get cold, it's just right to sustain life. Even though it has a moon to control the tides, it's the exact size we need the moon to be, the exact distance away, so the world doesn't flood 5 times a day. Even though there's intelligent life on the planet, they still want to say, no, that happened all by chance.
Science does not rely on fairy tales. Science doesn't even exclude God from existing. The problem is evidence. If God has actually made the planet, as you said he did, we'd be finding God's fingerprints everywhere, as we would if we analysed your model. From time since the religion was made up, people have been searching for the holy grail of knowledge. In the Bible, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil no longer exists. Adam and Eve ate the fruit. The seeds are inside us. The seeds express themselves in its purest form through science. Shame on you, Venom. You're denying God's gifts.